Hi everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books in the garden again for a discussion about Toni Morrison. A solemn one because, as you know, I'm reading Toni Morrison's books in chronological order. Since her passing earlier in the year, I said I'd do that. So at the beginning of September, I read the first of her books, the oldest of her books, which was The Bluest Eye, published in 1970. And second on the list, which I read at the beginning of October, is Sula. And the third one, Song of Solomon, will be coming up for reading in November. I already have that on my shelf. So I thought I'd give you a little mini review without giving too much away of the story and no spoilers. And there's lots and lots of full reviews of Toni Morrison books on BookTube. But together, these two books, this introduction to Toni Morrison has very much affected me emotionally. I remember very clearly reading The Bluest Eye 25 years ago, and I think I mentioned that in my Japan video. But I gave it a very brief mention because I'd read so many books that week. But I remember reading it very clearly 25 years ago, but it was part of a study of American literature, American contemporary literature. But now that I've read that in a companion to Sula, I found them both just incredibly emotionally draining. And I think doing one a month, I was going to rip them out just with my regular reading list as quickly as I could. I don't think that does them any sort of justice at all. So I think one a month is going to be my max, because they're not difficult to read, but they are difficult to emotionally sustain, if that makes sense. To give you a brief rundown of the plot for these two books, first of all, The Bluest Eye is about a girl that wishes that her difference didn't define her. And I think that's the way, as a young person, she sees the world defining African Americans. And as a young person, you define the world very plainly, like you see how people treat each other, or how people speak to each other, or who gets what and who doesn't get what. And as I think she might be an 11-year-old girl, she has already worked it out in her mind that the way in which the world sees her, it would be better if she were to have blue eyes. So she prays every night for blue eyes. It's as simple as that. Without giving any of the book away, really, the story of the girl and her family is punctuated by hard times. They're living in a time where nothing at all is easy for them, and they get by. What you do get right up to a point in The Bluest Eye is that all of these families and the people, they're hopeful. They're hopeful for a future where this doesn't happen, or where they are treated better, or where they can have a better job or a better house. There is hope there up to a point, because the culmination of the story is such a horrible event, and I'm not going to explain it, that it ruins that hope. And not just the hope of the main character, the girl, but the hope of everyone. Because if we can treat, as I'm extrapolating here, but because I think in the child's mind, she believes that if we can treat each other this way, and if we can be this bad and mean and horrible to each other, then where's the hope? And I think by the end of the book, that's the point we get to. But you do get the impression right throughout the book that there is some kind of hope for the people and the families in this story. And I think part of where that hope comes from in this book is girls' relationships with their mother. Men aren't portrayed very nicely in in the Bluest Eye or in Sula for that matter, they're not the nicest people. And more so in Sula, no one's nice. There's very few nice people in Sula. We're not meant to like anybody. But in the Bluest Eye, there's definitive and trusting relationships between mother and daughter. And then when you get to Sula, which is a story about two young girls, Sula and Nell, who are best friends, but each family has its problems. But their relationships with their mothers are horrible. And it's what made Sula such a difficult and heart-wrenching and an emotionally difficult read, because that relationship with their mother is something that was strong in the Bluest Eye and that didn't at all carry over. To give you an example, without giving any of the story away, one of the girls, I think it's Nell, was talking to her, is it her grandmother? I'm sorry for being so vague. It's been a little while since I read the book. But there's a discussion between mother and daughter, and the daughter asks the mother, "Did you ever love us?" Not "Do you love us?" or "Do you love me?" but "Did you ever love us?" And even just that one sentence is just completely heartbreaking. For a father or a man or I don't care who you are, that is a heartbreaking sentence for a child to ask. And then the answer is doubly heartbreaking. So as an answer, the mother gives, "Well, no, I didn't even like you." Like, as a person, the mother didn't even like her daughter. And talking about the mother saying something like, "What I did for you was survive. And that's all I needed to do. That was my responsibility. What I did for you was stick around and survive. I'm here. I try to get food on the table. I don't have to like you, and I don't have to love you, and I don't. But you're mine." And so it's not even caring for you. It's I still can't put it into words. And there was that section just completely destroys all of the mother-daughter relationships that you feel should be in a book written by an African-American woman, written with lots of female characters, and you feel that should be the case. But in this book, it is absolutely not. And apart from that mother-daughter relationship stuff, and everyone's got this troubled, all of the children have this troubled relationship with their carer, their female carer, whether it be a aunt or a grandmother or a mother, to the point where in Sula there is just so much death and destruction, so much death. And I'm not talking about how many people actually die. It's not a horror book. It's just when there is a death, when someone in this book dies, and there are a few, or when you hear of it even second and third hand, it adds to that emotional difficulty that I have navigating this book, because the way in which the deaths are described and interspersed throughout the story, it is just piling one on top of another. And by the end, what you're left with in your mind is this pile of bodies littered throughout this small town. And obviously it's not that. It is not a horror. It is not a mystery or a thriller or anything like that. It is a simple story of families trying to get by in the early 20th century. And there is just, so people die from drowning. Multiple people in different scenarios die from being set on fire. There's a woman falls out of the top floor of a house. There is just so much death and destruction. And if it's not death, it's destruction. So there's just lives and relationships completely broken and destroyed by people's lack of care, love, and respect for each other. And not necessarily white against black in this book. It is not that the white people do all the bad things and the black people and black people suffer. It isn't that. It is, which makes it even more difficult, in that everyone is carrying baggage, everyone is damaged, everyone is one step away from destruction. And that's what got me. That little girl asking her mother if she ever loved her just broke my heart. And the answer the mother gave broke it again. And you do find multiple incidents in this book just like that, where you go, oh, no. And then you read on one more paragraph and then, oh, no, yes, no. It is, yeah, it's a ride and a half. And for such a small volume, it's a challenge. It really is. But I urge people to read it. It's something that should be read and read carefully and thought about. And that's why I haven't picked up the third one, Song of Solomon, yet. I don't even know anything about the story, to be honest. Song of Solomon's been on my bookshelf for a long, long time. I have this sneaking suspicion I might have read it in university, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just, it was one of my drinking weeks and just didn't read the book. Don't know. But I urge you, pick up anything in the catalogue of Toni Morrison and give it a go. Reading them chronologically is not for everybody, but that's what I'm doing. And it's been an eye-opener. It's been amazing. So that's my little recap on The Bluest Eye and Sula by Toni Morrison. Next, sometime in November, there'll be Song of Solomon. Have a great day, everyone. Bit of a downer, that one, I'm sorry. But two brilliant and excellent books, just very, very emotionally challenging. If that's what you need right now, go for it. Talk to you again soon. I have a book haul coming up, so get onto that. Enjoy your Victober. Enjoy all your other readathons that are happening in October. Non-fiction November is coming up, if you like that sort of stuff. So get into that as well. I think I might take a break from some of this emotionally charged stuff and dive into some of my non-fiction TBR in November. So get on it. Enjoy, everyone. I will talk to you again soon. It's been wonderful catching up. See you. Bye.